coming to GST, because now that's where you're at. Your current posting is as Joint Commissioner of Central GST. And this is something that I want to share because like personally, I told you this before. This is something that I've also looked at with some certain level of intimidation because I didn't know what it was. And because I couldn't comprehend like the exact nature of it, I was sort of very hesitant with it. And I think that a lot of other people, business people in Nagaland also who haven't registered have the same fear, or like they don't know what they're getting into. So with you being in that position to help us, and like it'd be really nice if you could just give us like a brief breakdown of what the GST is all about, something like in layman's without all the jargon, like like just break it down for us, the GST.
All right,
let's have a text lesson.
What I'll do is as if I'm talking to my parents or maybe to a 5-year-old kid.
Right.
So therefore, just a disclaimer that I'm here as Sashiv Apang and not as the Joint Commissioner. So on Monday, don't come with a legal guy and say that you said this wrong. It's mostly so that we get to engage a little bit. And in the 1.5 years I've been here, I've tried to reach out to our young Naga owners of businesses as well to just come and have a chat. The importance of understanding the tax things, which many times I find that you are concerned about the profit of your business and you leave the tax aspect to your accountants. But many times they'll tell you only after the house is on fire, whereas it's important for you to have a pulse about the tax aspect as well. And my afternoons are usually free, so you can come to office and chit chat also. I'm free for that. Having said that, GST, let's start a little bit. I'll take a little time.
Please. Yeah, I'm curious to know.
Basically, the tax system in India is divided into two parts: direct taxes and indirect taxes, right? So direct taxes are those taxes which are directly taken from the person who's supposed to pay them. Income tax. Income tax, we Nagas don't pay, but in other parts of the country, income tax is payable. So it is directly taken from the person who is supposed to pay them. The other kinds of taxes are called indirect taxes, wherein it is not collected from the ultimate person who pays them, but from an intermediary. Let me explain. When you go to have food in KFC for example, you look at your bill after the price for the burger and drink. Niche you find GST, right? So GST is being collected from you as the customer, but being collected by KFC, and it's his duty to pay to the government, right? Therefore, it's an indirect tax.
Right.
Similarly, customs is also an indirect tax, because if you buy some foreign goods, you bought a foreign imported car, right? The person who imported it has paid the tax, then the customs duty, and then when you buy it, the price is adjusted so that in the MRP, the customs duty is already adjusted. So you as the customer, you're paying the whole price, but the customs duty has been collected by the government through the importer, right? So largely, these are the two kinds of taxes, direct and indirect. In the IRS also, you have two sets of people that look after this. So income tax guys are one set of IRS, and we guys, customs and GST, another side. Just aside, I'd like to, these are two different departments and each one does its own thing. But many times here, even my friends in income tax, they get questions on GST, and I also get a lot of questions on income tax to the point that now I can give some basic answers on income tax as well. But so now coming to GST, in the most basic sense, you've understood the KFC example, right? GST is something which, when you take registration, you're basically, the government is giving you the right to start collecting tax on the government's behalf, right? So you have to register with the government. Registration is the first thing. So when you register, you get a number, a certain number, and that number basically is giving you that license that you can start collecting tax on behalf of the government. So you continue with your business because you are charging the person whatever is your amount, right? Just over and above that, you are collecting the GST. The second thing you need to do after you've taken that GST registration, every month, the amount which you have collected, paid to the government. right?
Every month.
Every month. And the third important thing, you have something called the return, a GST return.
Right.
See, I'll not use any jargon, but what I'll tell you is a GST return is basically a report of what you did that month. You have collected all the money and paid. So a report, basically, it could be all your invoices for that month. You know, it's a register of all the things that you sold that month, a report, basically. So GST in very basic terms is that you have to take registration, which gives you the right to start collecting on behalf of the government, right? Secondly, you pay every month whatever amount you've collected. And thirdly, you give a report to the government of what you've done every month, which is called a return. Now, back in the day, before the 90s, when in the 90s, liberalization, globalization, privatization, everything happened, right? Before that, we had this era called the Inspector Raj, where the government was so powerful that basically he was sitting in your shop or your factory and counting every item that was going out. So tax kind of very strict. But after the 90s, what happened was we moved into an era where there's a certain level of trust to the taxpayer. So the government is basically trusting you to give us a report of what you did that month.
Yes.
And only when I go through the return, I get to see and tally things. And if I find something not tallying, that's when I ask you questions or call you or ask for more documents. So we are in an era where the trust is on the taxpayer to report honestly every month, you know. So even despite this kind of simple layout, many times in Nagaland, what I've seen is people take a registration and forget about it. So now the problem is you have to remember the fact that the government now doesn't know anything what you're doing. You took registration because we are waiting for that monthly
report and their payments also.
Right? So it could be true that you have not collected, you did no business. So you had no money to give.
Right.
But that report still needs to tell me that you collected nothing this month. You collected nothing this month. So basically there are fines and penalties if you don't do that. See, because the ball has been put in your court to at least give a report that, okay, this month also I didn't do any business. But where you did business, you pay that amount on time and give us the return saying, this is my picture for the month. So many Nagas businesses, just for the fact that you did not pay it on time, which actually think of it, it is a crime because you collected the money and you did not give it.
So it's like you're stealing.
Yes. So there are jail terms for doing all these kind of things. Again, economic crimes, people are not aware. So if the amount is in terms of crores, 2 crore above, 5 crore above, the director could be arrested and taken to jail.
But okay, just one quick question on this. Besides the jail term and all, what would the, like, for someone who'd taken a GST registration and then sort of, like you said, just forgot about it, not paid attention to it, the fines will be piling up.
Yes.
What would a monthly, because you have to pay it every month or at least file your reports every month.
Yes.
What would a rough...
See, for a monthly failure to file your returns, the amount is 5,000 a month, the fine. So in a year, 60,000, 2 years,
interest.
And interest also.
Will be, I'm sure.
And for example, the money part, which you had collected and not paid, interest is heavy on that. Because you were supposed to have paid it on that
That's
day.
the government's money.
Yes,
and
you're holding it with you. So interest, so people get stuck in this.
Mm.
It's not just you taking registration and staying quietly. Even if you're not doing any activity, you have to keep reporting. So currently, I mean, I'll use this as the platform also to announce that there is a scheme ongoing by the government wherein earlier the 5,000 per month amount has been drastically reduced given the fact that COVID and difficulties in filing. So it has been reduced to 500. So a lot of taxpayers are now coming forward and settling, setting their house in order and getting that done. So I would encourage any taxpayers, and these are mostly the smaller taxpayers who are not aware, because the big ones you have hired some sort of accountant, right?
Yes.
But like I said, even young Naga entrepreneurs and owners of businesses, I would encourage you to take a certain interest in the tax aspect of it also. And like I said, please come and visit.
Right. This was actually you made it sound very simple, but yeah, never had the opportunity to hear someone speak on this like as simply as this. And I think this should have been really helpful for a lot of business people. Like you said, this especially for the smaller people. The bigger business houses always have the luxury of paying an accountant, like we said. But yeah, this was really helpful for me. Thank you for that.